Imagine standing face to face with an armed man trained to kill, while everyone around you retreats in panic, but you see something in his eyes that no one else does. This is the true story of a nurse who defied military orders and risked everything because she trusted her instinct. What she discovered about that Marine changed not only his life, but revealed dark secrets about the system that should protect our veterans. Get ready, because this story will make you question everything you thought you knew about courage, war trauma, and the true meaning of saving lives. My name is Adriana Morales, and I have been working as a psychiatric nurse at the Veterans Hospital in San Diego, California for 12 years. I grew up in a small town in New Mexico, in a military family. My father served in Vietnam, my uncle in Desert Storm, and my younger brother Daniel enlisted in the Marines right after high school. I moved to San Diego because I wanted to be close to the ocean, to find some peace after everything that happened with Daniel. But peace is something that seems to escape me, no matter where I go. That Tuesday started like any other shift. I arrived at 7 in the morning, checked the patient records, distributed medications, talked to some veterans about their nightmares, routine, until my pager went off at 2:15 in the afternoon. Code black in Ward C. That meant armed patient, imminent danger. My heart stopped for a second, because Ward C was where we kept the most critical cases. Veterans with severe post-traumatic stress disorder who sometimes lost touch with reality. I ran through the corridors, my white sneakers squeaking on the freshly waxed floor. When I arrived, the scene was chaotic. Military police everywhere, hospital security guards with weapons drawn, and nurses pressed against the walls, crying. At the center of it all was a young man, maybe 25 years old, holding a .45 caliber pistol. His name was Corporal James Mitchell. Now tell me, where are you watching this from? Drop a comment below, and if this story has grabbed you so far, go ahead and subscribe to the channel now, because what comes next will surprise you even more. Commander Harris, the head of hospital security, was shouting orders for everyone to clear the area. He was a retired colonel, the kind of man who thought every problem could be solved with authority and discipline. "Stand back, Morales," he yelled at me when he saw me approaching. "That is a direct order. This Marine is armed and dangerous. Do not approach." But I was not looking at the weapon. I was looking at James Mitchell's eyes, and what I saw there was not anger or hatred. It was absolute terror. His hands were shaking so much that the gun wobbled in his grip. Sweat poured down his face. His eyes darted back and forth, as if he was seeing things that were not there. He was reliving something, trapped in a memory that tormented him. I knew that look. I had seen it before on my brother Daniel's face, 3 years ago, weeks before he put a gun to his own head in our parents' garage. No one understood Daniel's cries for help. Everyone said he just needed to toughen up, to get over it, that war was tough and he needed to adapt, until it was too late. I made a promise at Daniel's funeral. I swore I would never let that happen again, not if I could prevent it. So when Commander Harris ordered everyone to retreat and wait for the tactical team, I did the opposite. I took a step forward. "Morales, what the hell are you doing?" Harris screamed. I ignored him. "James," I said in the calmest voice I could manage. "James, my name is Adriana. I am a nurse here. I am not armed. I just want to talk to you. Can you hear me?" The Marine pointed the gun at me. His finger was on the trigger. Everyone around me gasped, but his eyes met mine, and for a brief second, I saw recognition. He was still in there, fighting to get back. "Thank you for staying with me until now. This shows that you feel the same thing I felt when I lived through all of this. So go ahead and subscribe and turn on the bell, because what comes next changes everything." "James," I continued, taking another careful step, "you are not in Afghanistan. You are in San Diego. You are at the Veterans Hospital. You are safe here. Nobody is going to hurt you." His eyes flickered with confusion. "Kandahar," he whispered. "We were in Kandahar. The children, there were children." His voice broke. There were children and I could not save them. My heart broke hearing those words. This was the nightmare that haunted so many of our veterans. The impossible decisions, the moral wounds that never heal. "I know, James," I said softly. "I know it is hard. I know you did everything you could. But right now, you are here with me. Can you breathe with me? In and out, slowly." He started to breathe, following my rhythm. The gun lowered slightly. Behind me, I could hear Commander Harris on his radio, calling the tactical team, telling them to prepare for confrontation. But I could not let that happen. I knew if armed men in tactical gear burst in here, James would see enemy combatants. His trauma would take over completely. Someone would die. I took another step closer. My hands were shaking, but I kept them visible, open, non-threatening. "James," I said, "I need to tell you something. Something I have never told anyone here. My brother was a Marine too. His name was Daniel. He served 2 tours in Iraq. When he came home, he was different. He had nightmares, panic attacks. He pushed everyone away, and I did not know how to help him. I failed him. 3 years ago, my brother took his own life because the system failed him, because people who should have helped him did not listen, did not see what he was going through. I will not let that happen to you. Do you hear me, James? I will not abandon you. Tears started streaming down his face. The gun wavered in his hand. I could see the internal battle happening inside him. Now I want to hear from you. Where are you watching this story from? Write it down in the comments. And if you are feeling this story like I am, hit that subscribe button now. It is incredible to see people from so many places following stories like this. The reason I became a psychiatric nurse was because of Daniel. When we were kids growing up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Daniel was my hero, 5 years younger than me, full of energy and dreams. He wanted to serve his country, to make our father proud. Dad had come back from Vietnam with his own demons, but he never talked about them. In our family, you did not talk about feelings or trauma. You just pushed through. That was the legacy. Daniel enlisted at 18, right after graduation. I remember the day he left for boot camp, how proud and scared Mom looked at the same time. I was already in nursing school in Arizona then, planning to work in pediatrics. I thought I would spend my career helping children recover from illnesses, making them smile. But Daniel's first deployment changed everything. He called me a few times, and each time his voice sounded more distant, more hollow. When he came home after 12 months, he was not my little brother anymore. He was a stranger living in Daniel's body. He drank heavily, got into fights, could not hold a job. And the worst part was that everyone, including our parents, kept telling him to snap out of it, to be a man, to stop being weak. I was the only one who saw him falling apart. I tried to get him help, to convince him to see a therapist at the VA. He went to 2 appointments, and then stopped. The psychiatrist prescribed him some medications, sent him on his way. No real therapy, no real support system, just pills. When Daniel died, I was completing my master's degree in psychiatric nursing. I changed my focus entirely. I would dedicate my life to helping veterans like him, to being the person I wish had been there for my brother. That is how I ended up here in San Diego, working with men and women whose minds were battlefields long after they came home. Standing there with James, I could see my brother in him, the same torment, the same guilt, the same desperate need for someone to understand. James, I said gently, tell me what happened. Tell me what you see when you close your eyes. He looked at me for a long moment. Then, slowly, he started talking. It was a village outside Kandahar, he said, his voice barely a whisper. We got intelligence that insurgents were using it as a base. When we arrived, there were women and children everywhere. Our commanding officer said the insurgents were using them as human shields. We were taking fire from multiple buildings. I was ordered to return fire. His whole body started shaking. I saw a muzzle flash from a window. I fired. We all did. When we cleared the building later, I found a girl, maybe 8 years old. She was holding a piece of metal, a toy. I thought it was a weapon. I killed a child because I thought a toy was a gun. He collapsed to his knees, still holding the weapon, sobbing uncontrollably. I could not save her. I see her face every night. Every single night. I killed her, and I cannot make it stop. I moved closer, kneeling down to his level, just a few feet away now. James, that was war. You were following orders in an impossible situation. You did not murder anyone. You were trying to survive, to protect your unit. What happened was a tragedy, but it was not your fault. But nobody here understands that, he cried. The doctors here, they give me pills that make me see things. They make it worse. I told them the medications are making me hallucinate, making me violent, but they do not listen. They just increase the dosage. They want to keep me quiet, keep me sedated so I am not a problem. That statement made my blood run cold, because I had seen his medical chart, and something had been bothering me about his prescriptions. In that moment, kneeling on the cold floor of Ward C with a loaded gun between us, I realized something horrifying. James was right. I had reviewed his medication list that morning during rounds, and something had seemed off. He was prescribed a combination of antipsychotics and antidepressants that should never be taken together at those dosages. The combination could cause severe psychotic episodes, violent hallucinations, loss of impulse control. Exactly what was happening right now. James, I said carefully, I need you to listen to me. I believe you. I think your medications are wrong. I think they are making you sick, not better. And I promise you, I will find out what is happening, and I will fix it. But first, you need to put the gun down. You need to let me help you. Please. He looked at me, desperation and hope warring in his eyes. If I put it down, they will lock me up. They will throw me in isolation and pump me full of more drugs. That is what they always do. I will not let that happen, I said firmly. I give you my word. I will stay with you. I will make sure you get proper treatment. But James, if you do not put that gun down, this ends badly for everyone. You do not want to hurt anyone. I know you do not. That is not who you are. Slowly, painfully slowly, his hand started to lower. The gun dropped to the floor with a metallic clatter. James collapsed completely, curling into a ball, sobbing. I immediately moved forward, kicking the gun away, and knelt beside him. "You are safe now," I whispered, putting my hand on his shoulder. "I have got you. You are safe." Within seconds, hospital security rushed in, but instead of providing care, they grabbed James roughly, slamming him face first into the floor, wrenching his arms behind his back. "Stop it!" I screamed. "He is not resisting. He needs medical attention, not restraints." Commander Harris pulled me back forcefully. "You are done here, Morales. You just violated every protocol we have. You are suspended effective immediately. Get out." I refused to leave. I planted myself between the security guards and James, who was now handcuffed and bleeding from his nose where they had slammed him down. "He needs to go to the medical ward for evaluation, not isolation," I said loudly. "His medications are causing psychotic reactions. He needs immediate intervention." Harris got in my face. "You do not give orders here, Morales. You just committed insubordination during an armed crisis. You are lucky I do not have you arrested. Now move, or I will have you removed by force." I looked him straight in the eye. "Then you will have to remove me by force, sir, because I am not letting you disappear this man into isolation without proper medical care. I will call the medical director, the patient advocate, and the media if I have to. This veteran deserves better than what this hospital has given him." For a tense moment, we stood there in a standoff. Then Dr. Patel, the ward psychiatrist, stepped forward. He was a good man, one of the few doctors I truly respected. "Commander," he said calmly, "Nurse Morales has a point. I will take responsibility for the patient. Let us get him to medical for a full evaluation before any decisions are made about placement." Harris glared at both of us, but finally stepped back. "Fine, but Morales, you are still suspended. Turn in your badge and get out of this hospital. Do not come back until the investigation is complete." I looked down at James, who was being lifted to his feet by two orderlies, more gently now under Dr. Patel's supervision. Our eyes met. "Thank you," he mouthed silently. I nodded. Then I removed my hospital badge, handed it to Harris, and walked out of Ward C with my head held high. I knew I had just ended my career, but I also knew I had kept my promise to Daniel. I had not abandoned someone who needed help. When I got to my car in the parking lot, my hands finally started shaking uncontrollably. I sat there for 20 minutes, crying, before I could drive home. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 32 text messages. My suspension was the talk of the hospital. Some colleagues supported me, saying I was a hero. Others said I was reckless and had put everyone in danger. But I did not care about any of that. I cared about James and what I had realized about his medications. I spent that entire day at home, going through every medical journal article I could find about antipsychotic and antidepressant interactions. What I discovered was damning. The combination James had been prescribed was known to cause severe adverse reactions, especially in patients with PTSD. There had been multiple studies warning against it, yet somehow, he had been on this dangerous cocktail for 6 months. I called Dr. Patel. He agreed to meet me at a coffee shop near the hospital. When I showed him my research, his face went pale. "This is worse than I thought," he said quietly. "Adriana, I need to tell you something. This is not just about James. 3 months ago, I raised concerns about our prescribing protocols with the medical director. Several patients were showing unusual side effects. I was told to drop it, that the protocols were approved and cost-effective." "Cost-effective," I repeated, feeling rage build in my chest. "They are putting veterans on dangerous drug combinations because they are cheaper than proper treatment." Patel nodded grimly. "The hospital is under pressure to reduce costs. Therapy is expensive. Individual treatment plans are expensive. It is easier and cheaper to use standardized medication protocols, even if they are not appropriate for every patient." "I need to see those other patient files," I said. "We need to document this." "I cannot give you access," Patel said. "You are suspended, but I can request an internal review." He paused. "Although I should warn you, when I tried before, I was threatened with termination if I pursued it. I did not wait for the internal review. I went straight to the media. I contacted an investigative journalist at the San Diego Tribune who had done previous stories on VA hospital issues. Her name was Lisa Chen, and she was relentless. When I told her what I suspected, about James, about the medication protocols, about the potential cover-up, she was immediately interested. "But I need evidence," she said. "I need documentation, other patients willing to talk, medical experts who can verify your claims. I cannot do this on allegations alone." That is when James became my unexpected unexpected ally. Dr. Patel had gotten him stabilized on proper medications, and within a week, the difference was remarkable. The hallucinations stopped. The violent impulses disappeared. He was still dealing with severe PTSD, but he was rational, coherent, himself again, and he was angry. When I visited him, now as a private citizen since I was still suspended, he told me everything. How the doctors had dismissed his complaints about the medications. How at least 3 other veterans in his ward were on the same dangerous combinations. How one of them had attempted suicide 2 weeks earlier because the medications made him hear voices telling him to hurt himself. James agreed to go on record with Lisa Chen. Then something remarkable happened. Other veterans started coming forward. Men and women who had been told their symptoms were just part of PTSD, who had been over-medicated, whose complaints had been ignored. Within 2 weeks, Lisa had documented 17 cases of potentially dangerous prescribing practices at our hospital. The story broke on a Sunday morning. The headline read, "San Diego VA Hospital endangered veterans with cost-cutting drug protocols, whistleblower nurse claims." The response was immediate and explosive. By Monday, there were protesters outside the hospital. By Tuesday, congressional representatives were demanding investigations. By Wednesday, the medical director and Commander Harris were placed on administrative leave. The hospital offered me my job back with back pay and a formal apology. I declined. I was done working within a system that valued cost savings over human lives. Instead, I did something I had been thinking about since Daniel died. I used the settlement money from my lawsuit against the hospital to start a nonprofit organization. I called it Daniel's Promise. Our mission was simple: to provide proper mental health care and advocacy for veterans with PTSD, free of charge, outside the broken VA system. James Mitchell became my first volunteer and eventually my partner in running the organization. The Marine who I had faced down with a gun became one of my closest friends and most dedicated advocates for veteran mental health. Today, 5 years later, Daniel's Promise operates 3 clinics in Southern California. We have helped over 800 veterans get proper treatment, navigate the VA bureaucracy, and connect with therapists who actually understand combat trauma. We have also successfully pushed for legislation requiring medication reviews and patient advocacy in all VA hospitals in California. James is now a licensed peer support specialist. He leads group therapy sessions for combat veterans, sharing his story, helping others understand that their trauma is real, that their pain matters, that recovery is possible. He is alive today because I refused to follow orders that day, but he saved me too. He gave me purpose after losing Daniel. He showed me that sometimes one person can make a difference, even against an entire broken system. The gun that James held that day is gone, melted down, and destroyed. But the memory of that moment remains, not as a symbol of violence, but as a reminder of what happens when we truly see each other, when we refuse to abandon those who are suffering, when we choose compassion over protocol. My name is Adriana Morales. I am no longer a nurse at the VA hospital. I am something better. I am a voice for those who have been silenced, a fighter for those who cannot fight anymore, and a keeper of promises made to those we have lost. So what would you do if you were in my place? Would you have risked everything to save someone that everyone else had given up on? Leave your opinion in the comments. I read every single one. If this story touched you in any way, subscribe to the channel right now. Share it with someone who needs to hear this, and do not leave yet. The next recommended video brings another true story that will leave you speechless. Until next time.